There is a city that vanished from every map for over 300 years. Not because it was destroyed, not because it was buried underground or swallowed by the sea. It simply sat there, quietly, above the clouds, while the entire world forgot it existed. Spanish conquistadors tore through Peru looking for gold, melting down empires, burning temples, erasing entire bloodlines of royalty. And somehow, they walked right past it. They never found it. Nobody outside these mountains did. Until a farmer casually mentioned it to an American explorer in 1911. Like it was no big deal, like he was pointing out a shortcut to the next village instead of one of the greatest architectural achievements in human history. Today we're climbing up to see what an empire built when they thought absolutely no one would ever find them. A lost city the world forgot. This is Machu Picchu, and what you're about to see isn't the postcard version. Forget the version where you glance at a famous photo for 2 seconds and scroll past to the next thing. We're walking through the fog with you, feeling the altitude press against your lungs, hearing wind cut through stone doorways that have stood empty for 5 centuries. You're going to find out why the Incas built a city on a mountain nobody could reach, what they were actually hiding from, why local farmers already knew about this place decades before it made headlines, and why one tiny detail about the architecture still leaves modern engineers scratching their heads. Stick around, because the ending of this story involves a staircase almost nobody walks anymore, and a silence up there that you will not forget for years. The journey begins in Cusco. You don't arrive at Machu Picchu, you earn it. Most journeys start in Cusco, a city sitting at over 11,000 feet, where your body immediately reminds you that oxygen here is now a luxury item. Your first morning, you'll feel it just climbing a flight of stairs to your hotel room, your heart pounding like you just ran somewhere instead of walking slowly with a suitcase. Locals hand you coca leaf tea before you even ask, like it's the most obvious cure in the world. And honestly, it works better than you'd expect. Cusco itself used to be the beating center of the entire Inca Empire, and you can still feel that history pressing up through the cobblestones. Walk down certain alleys and you'll notice something strange. Colonial Spanish buildings sitting directly on top of original Inca stone foundations. The two architectural styles fused together like 2 different centuries arguing over the same piece of land. One wall in particular, a 12-angled stone block fitted so precisely into its neighbors that not even a blade of grass could slide through, stops tourists mid-sentence every single day. Through the Sacred Valley, from Cusco, you wind through the Sacred Valley, and this is where the pace of the trip completely changes. Small towns appear and disappear along the road, women in bright red and turquoise skirts sitting outside doorways, weaving textiles by hand using techniques passed down through generations, each pattern telling a story about mountains, harvests, or the specific family who made it. You'll smell roasting corn before you see the vendor selling it, kernels the size of your thumbnail, slightly smoky, slightly sweet. Somewhere along this valley you'll probably eat your first real Peruvian meal, and it likely won't be what you expected. Alpaca meat, tender and lean, served with quinoa grown at altitudes where almost nothing else survives. Rivers of golden potato varieties you've never heard of, because Peru has more than 4,000 types. Something that sounds impossible until you're staring at a market table covered in purple, red, yellow, and black potatoes that all taste completely different from one another. Ask a local why there are so many, and they won't talk about agriculture at all. They'll tell you the Incas bred different varieties for different altitudes, different soils, different growing seasons, treating the potato less like a crop and more like an entire science. One that fed an empire stretching thousands of miles along the spine of South America, without a single wheel or written language to organize it. Then comes the train, snaking along the Urubamba River, water below turning a strange milky turquoise from glacial sediment, carried down from peaks you can't even see the top of because they're wrapped in cloud. Cliffs rise on either side so steep they seem to lean in over the tracks. And somewhere along this ride, conversations in the train car tend to go quiet. People just stare out the window. It happens almost every time. And then, Aguas Calientes, a strange little town crammed into a canyon. Its only real reason for existing is the mountain looming above it. Souvenir shops sell alpaca sweaters next to stalls serving fresh trout pulled straight from the river that morning. This is where most travelers spend their final night before the climb. And if you're smart, you won't sleep much. You'll want to catch the first bus up the switchback road while it's still dark outside, because what happens next is the entire reason you came all this way. The sunrise reveal. You walk through the entrance gate before sunrise. and there's nothing to see yet. Just fog, thick and grey, swallowing the entire mountainside. You climb a short path, and locals will tell you exactly where to stop as the trail opens up. You wait, and then, slowly, the mist starts pulling back like a curtain being drawn by hands you can't see. First a stone wall appears out of nowhere, then a terrace, then another, and suddenly the entire city is right there in front of you, spread across the saddle between two peaks. Glowing gold as the first sunlight hits it, llamas wandering between the ruins like they own the place. Which honestly at this point they kind of do. The truth about the lost city, here's the part almost nobody talks about. Machu Picchu was never actually lost to the people who lived nearby. Local Quechua farmers knew it was there the entire time. It was lost to the outside world, to historians, to maps drawn by people who had never set foot in these mountains. When Hiram Bingham discovered it in 1911, a family was already farming potatoes on some of those exact terraces, completely unbothered by the fact that they were living inside what the rest of the planet would later call one of the 7 wonders of the world. That single detail changes the entire story, doesn't it? This wasn't some untouched secret waiting for a hero to find it. It was simply a place the outside world had stopped paying attention to. The engineering mystery. So why build a city up here at all? Over 7,900 feet above sea level, on a ridge so narrow that one wrong step off the main path could genuinely end your trip early. The most convincing theory points to Pachacuti, the Inca emperor who transformed a small kingdom into a vast empire, building this as a royal retreat sometime around 1450. Not a fortress, not a hideout from war, something closer to a sacred estate, a place where astronomy, religion, agriculture, and political power all lived under one roof made entirely of stone. And the stonework itself is where things get genuinely strange. These blocks, some weighing several tons, fit together so precisely that you cannot slide a credit card between them. No mortar, no cement, just stone shaped with such exact mathematical precision that the entire city has survived earthquakes that would flatten modern concrete buildings. Because these particular stones actually shift slightly during tremors and settle right back into place afterward, almost like the walls know how to dance. Places like this don't just disappear from memory. They wait, somewhere between the fog and the terraces. Machu Picchu is still waiting for you to climb that path before sunrise and watch the mist pull back over stone that has outlasted empires, invasions, earthquakes, and 3 centuries of being completely forgotten by the outside world. The world is full of destinations we think we already know from photographs alone, but nothing replaces standing in the actual silence up there, feeling thin air catch in your chest, realizing an entire civilization built something this precise, without the tools we now consider absolutely essential. If this journey inspired you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and tell us in the comments which destination you're adding to your bucket list.